No, that was not planned. I knew nothing about it.
Okay.
Can I say it for real?
Yeah.
I was like, what the f is happening?
Oh, the Oscar goes to I Love My Life, Denzel Washington.
Don't just aspire to make a living. Aspire to make a difference.
Denzel Washington has been dropping a serious warning for Black actors for years. Winning an Oscar might actually be the worst thing that can happen to you. And when you really look at how things play out after that big win, it's tough to brush it off like it's nothing. The pattern feels too real, too consistent, and honestly, kind of unsettling. This isn't just talk from anybody. This is Denzel, a man with 2 Oscars, 9 nominations, and decades deep in the game, so he knows exactly what comes with that spotlight. He's seen the highs and the hidden costs up close. Look at Halle Berry after her win. Look at Cuba Gooding Jr. after his things didn't exactly level up the way people expected. Then there's that wild story from 2003, when Denzel pulled up to one of Diddy's parties, saw something, and dipped out fast, yelling on his way out. Whatever he saw that night clearly shook him, because when you connect that moment with everything else, it starts to paint a picture that's hard to ignore. It's not just coincidence anymore. It feels like there's something deeper going on behind the scenes, and it's not pretty. So now the real question is, what does Denzel actually know, and why do so many Black Oscar winners seem to lose more than they gain after that big moment? To understand why his words hit so hard, you have to understand who he is in Hollywood. He's not some outsider talking crazy. He is the most decorated Black actor in Academy Awards history, with 9 nominations and 2 wins. More nominations than any other Black actor ever, and he did it his way. No shortcuts, no bending. And in Hollywood, that's rare, almost unheard of. Denzel Washington came up in Mount Vernon, New York, and life wasn't exactly smooth early on. When he was 14, his parents split, and his mother made a tough call. She sent him off to a military academy, a move he later said straight up saved his life. He's even shared that the friends he grew up with ended up serving a combined 40 years in prison. That could have easily been his path too, but he took a different turn. He eventually found himself at Fordham University, not even chasing acting at first. He was just trying to figure out his major when he stumbled into it by accident, and that sloochai changed everything. From there, it wasn't instant fame, not even close. He put in years grinding through theater, TV roles, and small film parts before anything big opened up for him. His first Oscar came in 1989 for Glory, where he played a Civil War soldier with raw emotion that hit hard. Then came 2001, when he took on Training Day and delivered a performance as a corrupt cop so powerful, so convincing that the Academy couldn't look away, even if they wanted to. That same night was supposed to mean something bigger, too.
There's a saying, when the devil ignores you, then you know you're doing something wrong. Wait a minute, I'm not done now. You know, the devil goes, oh no, leave him alone. Hey, he's my favorite.
Halle Berry became the first Black woman to win Best Actress, and Sidney Poitier received an honorary Oscar. It looked like a major shift for Black Hollywood was finally happening. But as things unfolded, it didn't exactly go the way people hoped. What really sets Denzel apart, though, is that none of those awards ever got to his head. He's openly said he doesn't even know where his Oscars are, and he's made it clear, when his final day comes, those trophies won't mean a thing. He's deeply rooted in his faith, a longtime member of the West Angeles Church of God in Christ, and he's been vocal about how he sees his talent as a gift from God, not something to cash in for fame or statues. For him, it's about purpose, not applause, and that mindset puts him in a whole different lane than most people in that spotlight. In December 2024, Denzel took things to a whole new level. He received his ministry license. That wasn't random, and it wasn't for show. This is a man who's been telling people exactly who he is for decades, staying grounded in something deeper than fame. Because of that, he sees the industry in a way most people don't and can't, especially those chasing approval, trying to fit into a system that doesn't always play fair. That's exactly why what he's been saying lately has people paying attention. In August 2025, while doing press for his film Highest to Lowest, Denzel sat down for an interview and dropped a statement that spread everywhere fast. He straight up said he doesn't care about Oscars. He didn't sugarcoat it either. He said he's won when he felt he didn't deserve it and lost when he believed he did. Then he broke it down even deeper, saying awards are given by men, but rewards come from God. And that right there hit different. But what really stuck with people was what came next. He admitted he doesn't even really watch movies anymore. After being in over 50 films, he said the magic is gone for him as a viewer. That's not just burnout. That sounds like someone who's seen too much behind the scenes and isn't impressed anymore. Some might try to brush it off like he's just tired or out of touch, but when you line it up with everything else he's been saying over the years, it starts to feel like something more serious. Like he's seen what's really going on and made a conscious decision to step back from it. He's even called out the entire awards culture, saying it feels like a performance. In his words, actors get on stage, celebrate themselves, and then turn around and tell everyone else how to live, while heading back to luxury lifestyles. And get this, he's even said he doesn't know what Hollywood really means and refuses to even call himself a Hollywood actor. That's not just distancing. That's a clear line being drawn. Denzel doesn't even label himself the way the industry tries to. He calls himself a stage actor who does film, a craftsman from Mount Vernon, not some product built by the system. That distinction matters to him, and he makes it clear every chance he gets. He's also been very direct about diversity, and not in the way people expect. He said flat out that just hiring Black actors isn't enough if nothing changes behind the camera. The culture, the decision makers, the people telling the stories, that's what really shapes everything. That's exactly why he pushed for a Black director on Fences. He wasn't just showing up, he was making sure the foundation matched the story. And then there's that moment people still talk about. The warning he gave Will Smith the night everything went left. Right after the incident, Denzel reportedly told him, "At your highest moment, be careful." And then he added, "That is when the devil comes for you." That wasn't just a random comment, it came from a place of experience. Later on, Denzel explained what he meant, saying that Hollywood fame creates a kind of spiritual and emotional vulnerability that most people never see coming. When you reach the top, that's when the real pressure hits, and something starts testing you. In his view, staying grounded isn't optional, it's protection. A lot of people brushed that off as just religious talk, but those same people can't explain what happened to careers like Halle Berry's after 2002, or Cuba Gooding Jr.'s, or even Jamie Foxx's path at certain points. That's where things start to feel uncomfortable, because the pattern doesn't sit right. And this is the part the industry avoids completely. Hattie McDaniel made history in 1940 as the first Black actress to win an Oscar for her role as Mammy in Gone with the Wind. Even with that win, she faced segregation and nearly wasn't allowed to attend the ceremony at all. That moment was historic, but also came with a reality that people don't like to revisit. She had to accept that Oscar sitting at a segregated table, separated from her white castmates, in a hotel that barely accepted her presence in the first place. That moment was supposed to be history, but it came with a harsh reality attached. And after that win, things didn't suddenly improve for her career either. She was stuck playing the same roles again and again, the maid, the domestic, on repeat, with no real shift until her health declined and her life came to an end. That was 1940, and it already showed how complicated these wins could be. Now jump ahead to 2002. Halle Berry stands on that stage, emotional, overwhelmed, and fully aware of what the moment represents. She said it was for Dorothy Dandridge, Lena Horne, and every nameless, faceless woman of color who finally had a door cracked open. It was powerful, raw, and unforgettable. One of the most emotional speeches the Oscars has ever seen. And right there with her, Denzel, who also won that same night, opened his speech by recognizing the moment, saying, "Two birds in one night." It felt like something big had shifted, like the industry was finally turning a corner. But Halle truly believed that moment would change everything. And it didn't. She expected opportunities to flood in, scripts to start showing up, and doors to finally swing open. Instead, she ran straight into the same walls, just with more visibility this time. She later admitted that the Oscar didn't give her the power people assume it does. She still had to fight for roles, still had to convince studios to cast a woman of color in parts that weren't originally written that way. The award brought her more fame, but not the control or access she actually needed. And this is where it really hits. She said she's heartbroken that even 20 years later, no other Black woman has stood beside her as a Best Actress winner. Think about that for a second. That door she thought was opened still hasn't been walked through again. Only 10 Black actresses in total have ever won an Oscar in any category. Just 10 in the entire history of the Academy Awards. And Halle Berry still stands alone as the only Black woman to win in the lead category. That's not just a gap, that's a pattern that raises serious questions. Dorothy Dandridge, one of the brightest stars of her time, made history with her 1954 nomination for Carmen Jones. She had presence, talent, and undeniable star power. But after that moment, instead of doors flying open, things started closing in on her. The roles didn't match her ability, and opportunities became harder to find as the industry's limited mindset clashed with who she really was.
How you doing, Denzel? How you doing tonight, man? Looking good, Denzel. Looking good, man.
Her story doesn't just fade out either. It ends in a way that still raises questions. She died at just 42 years old, and even now, it's unclear what really happened. Reports say it was either suicide or an accidental overdose, but nothing was ever fully confirmed. That kind of uncertainty only adds to the weight of her story. Now, fast forward to what April Reign, the founder of the Oscar So White movement, has pointed out. And it hits hard. She argues that the Academy tends to reward Black women in very specific roles, ones tied to pain, struggle, or supporting someone else's story. Not when they're thriving, not when they're simply existing in joy or complexity. Look at the contrast she highlights. Roles where Black women carry trauma seem to get attention, while roles that show them just living, loving, or winning in everyday ways often get overlooked. It's not the same freedom that others have had, like when Gwyneth Paltrow got to be a girl in love and Shakespeare in Love and Win. That points to something deeper, a narrow lane that Black women are expected to stay in if they want recognition. Step outside of that lane, and the reward often disappears. That's where the idea of the Oscar curse starts to feel less like a myth and more like a pattern. This isn't random. It reflects a bigger system, one where the award is handed out, the applause happens, the spotlight hits, and then suddenly, there's no real space waiting on the other side. The moment ends, and the support doesn't always follow. And it's not just Black actresses caught in this cycle either. Cuba Gooding Jr.'s story is another example that people can't ignore. His rise was huge, his moment undeniable. But what came after tells a very different story about what happens when someone at the top is no longer seen the same way by the people in power. Gooding won his Oscar in 1997 for Jerry Maguire. And in that moment, he was everywhere, celebrated, visible, and at the peak of Hollywood success. When Cuba Gooding Jr. won that Oscar, the moment was unforgettable. He ran up on stage, hugged Tom Cruise, and delivered one of the most high-energy, emotional acceptance speeches people had ever seen. It felt like everything had lined up perfectly for him. And for a while, it actually did. He had already been part of serious films like A Few Good Men and Boys in the Hood, working with real directors on real projects. After the Oscar, his value shot up. He had leverage, he had choice, and he had a seat at the table that most actors never get near. But this is where things start to shift, and it's not simple. There are people from that time who say that as Cuba got deeper into those spaces, he started talking more, sharing what he had seen behind closed doors, how decisions really got made, and what it actually cost to stay at that level in Hollywood. He had
Who cares?
There you go.
Who cares? You gotta, what made public support so important to begin with?
access that very few people ever experience. And according to those accounts, he may not have been careful about who he spoke to or what he revealed. That kind of openness in a system built on silence, that can turn into a problem fast. Then everything changed in June 2019. Reports came out that he was being investigated for allegedly touching a woman inappropriately at a bar in New York. Cuba didn't hide. He went to the police himself. But from that moment on, the situation spiraled quickly. More allegations surfaced, more headlines followed, and just like that, his career took a massive hit. The shift was fast and brutal. One minute, he's an Oscar winner with a respected name, and the next, he's being talked about as a warning story. Cuba has spoken out about it too. He said he believes he was treated differently because he refused to be controlled. He pointed out that other actors faced serious accusations and still continued working. In his view, the difference was that he wouldn't let himself be owned. Now, that's his perspective, and people will interpret it in their own way. But when you step back and look at the bigger picture, what happened to him starts to echo something familiar. It lines up with other stories. People who reached the top, then suddenly found themselves pushed out when things got complicated. The way the industry moves isn't always loud or obvious. It doesn't need to come after you directly. Instead, it just stops protecting you. And once that shield is gone, anything can happen. And it can happen fast. Now, the Jamie Foxx part of this story is where things get even more intense. Cat Williams has been one of the loudest voices speaking on it. And yes, Cat has said a lot over the years that people question. But when it comes to his specific claims about Fox and the Oscar process, it makes people pause and really think. Jamie Foxx himself has admitted that when he was nominated for Ray in 2004, he wasn't even taking the whole award season seriously. He said he didn't think he was going to win. He showed up to the Golden Globes joking around on the red carpet, just enjoying the moment instead of playing the game the way the industry expects. That's when things shifted. His publicist called him out, telling him he was messing up his chances. Then it went even further. Someone powerful stepped in. A major figure in media, Lichno, reached out and told him straight up that he was throwing away a huge opportunity. Next thing you know, Fox is at an exclusive party at Quincy Jones's house, surrounded by industry legends, getting praised, getting attention. It was a whole different environment. And the peak of that night, meeting Sidney Poitier. Poitier told him he had grown 2 inches watching his performance. Then he left him with one word: responsibility. That moment clearly hit deep.
So why did he need a black director? Could a white director not have?
It's not
produced this
color,
work?
it's culture.
Explain the difference, because I think we're in
Steven
a space
Spielberg
right
did Schindler's List.
now. Mm-hmm.
Martin Scorsese did Goodfellas, right? Steven Spielberg could direct Goodfellas. Martin Scorsese probably could have done a good job with Schindler's List. But they're cultural differences. You know, I know, you know, we all know what it is when a hot comb hits your hair on a Sunday morning, what it smells like. Huh? That's a cultural difference, not just a color difference. Right. So it's the culture.
That point on, everything about Fox changed. His attitude, his presence, the way he carried himself. He became exactly what the moment required. Serious, focused, aligned with the expectations. And it worked. He won the Oscar and the Golden Globe in the same season. But then, things got complicated. After the win, issues started stacking up. There were reports of a sexual misconduct investigation. And later, his sudden hospitalization in 2023 had people asking questions. It all added another layer to the conversation that's been building around this pattern. Cat Williams didn't hold back either. He said publicly that Fox gave up something important to secure that award. That's a heavy claim, and people can take it however they want. But when you line it up with everything else, it definitely adds fuel to an already uncomfortable conversation. Cat Williams didn't speak in vague terms either. He made very specific claims about what he believes Jamie Foxx agreed to behind the scenes. Now, to be clear, those are Cat's claims, and they haven't been proven. But when people look at the full timeline, the intervention, the sudden shift in behavior, the big win, and then the silsilate of issues that followed, it becomes harder for some to just ignore it completely. The question Cat keeps pushing is simple but heavy. Who is really deciding who gets an Oscar? And what does it actually cost to have those people backing you? That question sits right at the center of all this, and it connects directly to Denzel's story in a way that feels hard to brush off. Back in 2003, Denzel Washington and his wife Pauletta attended one of Diddy's parties. They stayed late, real late, all the way until dawn. But something happened that night that clearly didn't sit right with him. According to multiple sources who spoke to Us Weekly, Denzel saw something that pushed him over the edge. He reportedly confronted Diddy pramo in that moment, saying, "You don't respect anyone." And just like that, he and Pauletta were out. No quiet exit, they stormed out. What exactly he saw has never been confirmed. But the descriptions of those parties paint a picture that gets more intense as the night goes on. Sources say that after a certain hour, around 2 a.m., everything shifted. There was allegedly a signal, a clear turning point where the entire vibe of the party changed. Before that time, it looked like a typical high-profile Hollywood event. But after, according to those accounts, it became something much more extreme and uncomfortable. One source described it as a space where people crossed lines openly, where the atmosphere turned into something completely different from what guests first walked into. They even said what was happening at 5 a.m. made the earlier part of the night look mild in comparison. And remember, Denzel and Pauletta were still there during those hours, which means whatever caused that reaction, they experienced it firsthand. And it's not like these events were small or unknown. Over the years, plenty of major names were connected to Diddy's parties. People like Sarah Jessica Parker, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lopez, and more. Big names, big rooms, and moments that, depending on who you ask, may have had a very different side once the clock passed a certain point. There are photos, plenty of them. Rooms full of A-list celebrities at these parties, smiling, posing, looking like everything is normal. But when you really look at it, the silence afterward says more than the pictures ever could. Most of those people have said nothing. Some quietly stepped back, created distance, and never addressed it again.
I get a call from somebody. Hi, Jamie Foxx. This is Oprah. I'm like, who? Yeah. I'm like, what? What? Who's that? This is Oprah. She says, you're blowing it. I said, what you mean? She says, you got an opportunity to do something great, walk into the history books, and you're blowing it, and I need to help you with it.
50 Cent is one of the few who actually spoke up. He claimed that some of those celebrities weren't just there, they were willing participants. And now, they stay quiet because they don't know what might exist out there. What could be recorded? What could resurface? That kind of uncertainty keeps people locked in silence. But Denzel, he didn't stay quiet in that moment. He left. Not calmly, not casually. He stormed out, yelling, making it clear something crossed a line for him. And that reaction hits different when you line it up with everything he said since. All these years later, he keeps talking about the same themes. The danger that shows up at your highest point, the spiritual weight of fame, the price people pay when they reach the top. That's not random talk. That sounds like someone who saw something firsthand and never forgot it. Because think about it. He stayed at that party until nearly sunrise. He was there when everything reportedly shifted. And whatever he saw in those hours was enough to make him walk out the way he did. So when he speaks now, it carries a different kind of weight. It feels less like opinion and more like experience. Like someone who processed what he witnessed and chose to move carefully, speaking in a way that gets the message out without putting everything on blast. And when you connect all the dots, Denzel's warnings, Halle Berry's disappointment, Dorothy Dandridge's tragic path, Cuba Gooding Jr.'s fall, Jamie Foxx's complicated journey, and those stories tied to those late-night parties, it stops looking random. It starts to look like a pattern. Not bad luck, not coincidence, but a system. A system that gives just enough success, just enough recognition, just enough access to pull people in. But at the same time, it creates pressure, exposure, and vulnerability that can cost way more than it gives back. And then it happens. The moment someone stops being useful, or starts asking questions, or pushes back even a little, the protection disappears. Just like that. And when it's gone, they're left completely exposed, with no safety net to catch them. Denzel never fell into that trap, and that's not by accident. It's because he built his life on something most people in that space either never had or lost along the way. A foundation the industry can't touch. His faith, his 40-year marriage to Pauletta, his identity as a craftsman from Mount Vernon who just happens to act. That's the difference. The industry can't threaten to take away something he never allowed it to control in the first place. And that right there, that's the warning he's been giving for years. Not always loud, not always direct, but always consistent. Because the Oscar? It's not just a trophy sitting on a shelf. It's a relationship. And any relationship built on that kind of power imbalance comes with terms, whether they're spoken or not. You have to understand what you're stepping into before you say yes to it. Now, to be fair, some people have walked away from that stage and seen their lives improve. That's real. But for a noticeable number of Black actors and actresses, that moment has been followed by something very different. Not celebration, not long-term opportunity, but pressure, setbacks, and situations that feel more like a cost than a reward. Like a bill showing up after the spotlight fades. And Denzel? He's got 2 Oscars. Somewhere in his house, not even on display like that. He's even said he doesn't really know where they are. And on his last day, he's made it clear. They won't do anything for him. That's not disrespect. That's perspective. That's someone who understands exactly what those awards are worth and what they're not.